Afternoon, everybody, councillors and staff, and those watching at home. Activity briefings for Wednesday, the 10th of December, and everybody's here, and Councillor Everest joining us via Teams, so no apologies, and we'll get into it. And Gordon is first up with information systems. Afternoon, Gordon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for your report. Do you have anything to add?
No, nothing specific to add. I'm happy to take questions.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. This probably more for you. This is our first activity briefings with some new accounts. Maybe a quick explanation of how it works and how they can question and things might be.
That's through Mr Chair. So the activity briefing is an opportunity for councillors to learn about some of the detail in the business. So each of our managers comes in, is available to answer questions on the report that they have submitted. There's no decisions from an activity briefing. It's not a formal meeting of council, so it's really an information exchange. If there's any issues that arise from this briefing that require further exploration, or you want council to resolve in some fashion, then the opportunity for councillors is to use the councillor report section of the next council meeting to raise that issue. Please do that before the agenda is actually prepared, so it can be in writing, and then the council can consider whatever action might be appropriate. But there's no decisions from this briefing. Generally, the managers will take the report as read and then available to answer any questions. The activity briefing is also a little bit of a historical snapshot in time and doesn't contemplate some of the big things that might be coming in the future. It's really a summary of things that have been going on inside the business. Thank you.
Thanks, Hamish. Councillor Todd.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. With the use of AI now sort of underway, are there any further security levels required with the systems? Because you are sort of sharing information with an outside body, I suppose you could say.
Through the chair, the development of AI will present opportunities for all businesses to take advantage of. It also, on the flip side, provides a great opportunity for those who wish to perhaps cause harm, disruption, and I was at a conference recently where a previous or reformed person who described himself as a criminal, not as a hacker, said that collaboration was no greater than what it is in the criminal fraternity and these tools. So it will be a challenge for us. The tools that we use equally are being developed with AI in mind, and what that can be used to protect ourselves from those who would seek harm.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Welcome, Gordon. Just wondering if you'd be able to give us a quick update on the community facility booking system. I see there's been a slight delay, but timing's a little while ago now. So,
through the chair, yes, there's been a slight delay with just a final check and balance around payments and the payment process, and ensuring that that's all up to standard and how we wish it to operate. We have had the delay because of that, but we are hoping to go live in the next week, 7 to 10 days.
Councillor Wilson.
It's a common theme I'm going to ask through everybody today, so it's not just about you, Gordon. With budget time coming, are there areas where we can cut back or reprioritise spending in the coming year? Because obviously, we have a list of things, and some of these technology is an easy one that you just keep on going and it gets more and more. Which areas do you think would be not as high a priority as some others?
Perhaps I could could help with that question. And we're compiling the budget on the basis of our perception of the needs of the organisation with the work programs that we have in place. And when we have aggregated that, if that is an unsuitable number, then council will work through a process with councillors as to getting the budget into shape. So I don't think it's quite possible or perhaps even fair for individual managers to reflect on things that they can take out of a budget that isn't completely yet compiled nor councillors have seen. So that conversation is coming without any doubt. I just don't think today is necessarily the right environment in the absence of seeing the aggregated annual plan.
Thanks, Hamish. Any further questions? Councillor Moffat.
Hello. With the physical and digital record management, so, updating everything from physical, presumably, to digital records, what happens with the physical materials and what privacy concerns are you facing with that?
Through the chair, the vast majority of our operation now is digital. And we have gone through an exercise or projects in the past in digitising, for example, all building consents and resource consents. Those physical files are still retained, but the question will come back in the future for their disposal. They're being held in off-site facilities built for storing those types of records. But as I said, currently we've retained them, but there will be a question raised coming about saying, okay, we no longer need these. We've digitised to standard, which allows us to discuss that.
Any further questions? Looks like it. Thanks, Gordon. Appreciate it. Next up, Renee from Property. Afternoon, Renee. You got anything to add to your report? Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Hi, Renee. The Ashburton Business Estate, we've got 43 hectares that remains unsold. How much of that 43 hectares is developed or how much is not developed, whichever way you want to answer it?
Through the chair, we've actually got that on our website. So if you pop into the Ashburton Business Estate on our website, we've actually got a plan that actually shows. So if you're looking at the plan, it's your bottom left hand, which is your undeveloped area.
Cool. All right. So following on for that, if I may, is there any plan in place to maybe give a bit of a refresh to the marketing and the promotion that's happening around the sales of that? And at some stage, maybe coming back and saying, how much are we selling these sections for? Just to try and kick a bit of life back into the market, I suppose, and move some of that land on.
We can certainly look at that.
Question for me, Renee. The old Polytech demolition I see on social media has got underway. May take up to 10 weeks to complete. Is that a sort of normal period of time?
That is, for the size and the complexity of the building, that's completely normal.
Is it having to be sort of taken down in sections or something like that?
It's making good progress,
Yeah.
but yeah, there is some complexity with that site. Being two-storied, we've had the asbestos removed. So by the time they bowl the rest of the building and level the site, we're expecting that to take about 10 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cameron.
Is that on budget?
So far, touch wood.
So you're anticipating it remain on budget? The ceiling of the site, now you'll have to forgive me if I've got it wrong, was it shingle? But that was expensive, I think, wasn't it? It was like...
No, so initially it was discussed that it was going to be a sealed marked car park.
Yeah.
It was decided that the budget for that was too much, so it was downgraded to a basic gravel car park.
Sort of compressed gravel. But I think I remember being amazed at the cost of that as well. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars, wasn't it, I think? Do you know what that is off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, but
Because
I
that
can,
might be
I can
something we
get that
need to
through you.
review. Is that a separate invoice? That would be a separate bill to the pulling down of the site?
No, we've actually done it as one complete. So the cost is
So
together.
how will I find that?
I can send that
it.
through.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Ray.
Councillor Moffat.
Hi. So I've got a couple of questions around the elderly persons housing. So there are currently 19 on the waiting list. Is that the sort of normal waiting list size? Is it coming down or going up?
That is about normal, so it does kind of ebb and flow, but that seems to be pretty regular.
Okay. And the other one is there are 3 from out of town. What's your criteria for people from out of town getting those places? Do they have to have family here? And do you know where roughly those out of town people are from?
I don't have the detail on exactly where they are, but I can get that through if you'd like. So the criteria is outlined in our policy. So if you pop onto the website under the elderly persons housing, it defines how we allocate the housing, and obviously living in Ashburton allocated first.
So if you're from out of town, do you know off the top of your head what the criteria is?
So again, your first criteria is to have them here. Then you're looking at that they've got family here, and then what are the connections have they got to the district?
Councillor Wilson.
With regards to the airport, we resolved in the long-term plan to look at alternative management and operational models. How is that progressing?
It's progressing well. Yep, we're making some good progress, and that we're hoping to have that to you in the new year.
Would we have to go back into consultation if we change that model?
It would depend on the outcome of the discussion.
Just to note, the elderly persons housing is regarded as a strategic asset. So any significant change to the way that asset is managed or we deal with does require a certain process, including consultation, if the change was of any significance.
Any further questions? No. Thanks, Renee. Appreciate it. Up next, it's Finance, and Erin and Gordon. Hi team, anything to add to your report?
Nothing at this stage.
Thanks. Questions? Yeah, Liz.
Thank you. Just on the vehicles sold, so you've sold 3 vehicles. Have you replaced those, or have you put an order in and they're waiting to come?
There's no more on order at the moment, so we had a replacement vehicle arrive to replace the one that was in an accident in May last year.
Oh, yeah.
We'd held on to one of the Corollas to cover that vehicle in the fleet, so that was bookable. And then there was the next one that was required to be disposed at the same time.
Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, and it's a good segue. Have we reviewed the leasing or the purchasing of vehicles? ADC vehicles. Have we reviewed that in recent times?
Not in detail, no.
Do we have a policy of purchasing vehicles and selling them after they've reached their
Yes.
3 years, is it, or is it a kilometre turnover?
It's a mixture of both. So vehicles, like fleet vehicles, cars, are like 3 years or 100,000 Ks. There's 5 years for light commercial and 8 years for utility vehicles.
Okay. When did we last review that through the chair, please? Do you recall?
The review of the policy, I don't recall so much. It was more that there was a report written by an external provider that looked at the usage of our fleet and what vehicles were for emission purposes as well as utilisation. And there was some recommendations made on
Sure.
split size from
Can I,
that.
through the chair, can I ask one more question? Please? Is it possible for you to save me dredging through the website? Can you send me the policy, please, and the report so we can, or all of us, so we can have a wee look at that? Is that possible?
Tony, do you want to add? Thanks.
Thank you, through the chair. So council's fleet management policy, it's an internal policy, so it's deemed to be operational, not governance.
So what does that mean? I can't see it?
No, you can see it, but it wouldn't be a policy that would normally come to council to approve,
Okay.
review, or otherwise.
Given,
perspective.
given our external environment and the cost pressures we're saying, it would be quite good to see it if possible, if we're allowed to. Yeah.
And I'm very happy for you to see it,
Yeah.
just that it isn't a policy that would normally
That
be
would, yeah, because I don't
resolved
remember
by
ever
councils.
revisiting it, yeah. And I'd love to see that report. Am I allowed to see that report as well? That,
Which report, sorry?
the report from the consultant on whether to, looking at the emissions and whether to lease or purchase, or whether to, and when to turn the vehicles over, 100 Ks or 80 Ks or 5 years or 3 years.
Yes, there was I'm happy for you to see that report. It was a management report from an external provider that we probably got 4 or 5 years ago, I would say.
Oh, okay. It would just give me some context, you know, thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
With regards to the annual plan this year, when will we look to get, obviously we've got a meeting at this right at the start of February, when will we look to get some numbers so that we can actually start looking through it and understanding it so we can turn up fully prepared? Because I understand in the past it's been pre-Christmas, so I'm just wondering when we'll look to get those numbers.
Currently, we're working through that information, and we're hoping to get your information sort of late January in preparation for the early February timeframe, yes.
How can we get it late January if we're doing it the 3rd of February? That's no time. We need I can't absorb the size of the business. I've got enough time to see the numbers and absorb them. A week's not enough.
So we're currently, later on, so next week, on Tuesday, we have a session with the councillors to go through a proposed updated format for the budget. The intent with this is that it'll make it a lot more digestible and easily reading. So that will hopefully allow the time that you need to review it to be a bit more compressed.
I found it last year very easy reading, so I don't need it any simpler, because simplicity hides that's how you hide numbers. If you make it simpler, I'd like to see it in full so that we can digest it and come back with real understanding of the budget.
So through you, Mr. Chairman, the collective wisdom of council as to what format you prefer you will resolve as a council next week. And so if that's the predominant view, then that's the format that we will provide. If there's a different view, then that'll be the perspective that we will go forward with. So I think we have been signalling for some time that we wish to potentially seek your perspective on a different way of presenting the budget. If that resonates, then we'll proceed with that. Equally, if it doesn't resonate, then we will provide it in a manner which you need.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. I just noted in the annual, and just your comments on the annual report, that it did not come in under budget. Was it the audit costs that took you over budget there?
So with the extra time frame to get that across the line, there was more time spent on both sides, so the audit costs will be reflective of that.
Councillor Gilkison.
I've just got a question around the financial modules and management services. More just kind of, can you give me a background of what that means? And then it also says, due to shifting priorities and availability of specialist resources, future phases have been rescheduled. So does that push out your completion date, or have you just got rid of some phases? What does that mean?
So we have a rather large program of works with our financial system to migrate from the system we're on to the newer version, and it's quite a transformation project in terms of moving the data and the processes over, and we're actually reviewing the processes. We're not just moving like to like, we're trying to make things more efficient in the way that we work. It was scheduled for a significant amount of that work to be done through earlier in the year, and because of the pressures on the annual report and the loss of some resourcing in that space, annual report
took priority. It meant that these modules and this transformation project didn't progress in terms of what we'd anticipated. So we are rescheduling that work program. At the same time, we're competing with the resources for our IT team and the other projects they've got to deliver as well. But I can assure you this project is definitely prioritised.
Because, well, it'll be quite a game changer for you guys, won't it?
I'm hoping it will be, yeah.
Any further questions? No, it looks like we're good. Thanks, guys. Up next, it's solid waste management. Hernando and Neil.
And Chrissy.
And Chrissy. Well, you're not up yet, are you? You're sort of. I was going to give you a special introduction. Any further information, Hernando?
Chair, we don't have any more additions.
Thank you. Questions, Liz?
Yeah, thank you. So I see the supply of 12,000 green bins has been awarded, the contract. So have you ordered bins in all the same size, or did you end up sort of getting a mixture of sizes?
Yeah, through the chair, we have ordered the 240 liter bin, all the 12,000. It was agreed earlier that we will not be issuing smaller or other sizes bins other than the 240.
So they're all going to be 240 litre now?
Correct.
Okay.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Just on, we're looking at page 15, the general waste of Cape Valley tonnage. When we introduce FOGO in September next year, what sort of, I suppose, what sort of tonnage do you think will come back? Seeing we're not, we're recycling the green waste and stuff like that. Have you got an estimate of what you think our tonnage could drop by?
I think the figures we've been given previously is an estimate of anything from 20 to 30% of our rubbish is food waste and food scraps. So we would expect a drop. If it just depends on how many people do actually divert their food and put it into the green and not into the red. Yeah. But that's roughly the amount that we're expecting, 20-30%.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Just a question of clarification around the FOGO bins. Is it correct that you can't put like a dirty pizza box into that composting bin, and also fibrous material like cabbage tree leaves? They won't accept those either?
That's correct.
There'll be education process as well.
Yes, yeah, we will be preparing an information booklet in the new year, which will explain what can go into those bins and what can't.
Awesome. Councillor Cameron.
Your shop seems to be doing quite well, or holding its own. What do you do with the money?
Through the chair, the money goes to the contractor. This was designed to, the profit should go to the contractor to encourage them to recycle more, because if they don't get the profit, then there's no incentive for them to do recycling.
Finished, Caroline?
Yes, beg your pardon.
Councillor Wilson.
With the metal recycling, I see it's increased a lot. So obviously someone's getting in the pit and taking a lot more out. Is that cost beneficial? Because obviously some of that sort of stuff, you're paying a man or a lady or a person, a salary and the costs associated and the health and safety risk and all that to pull out some metal, and then you save it. Is that cost effective? Because it's a feel good one, but in reality, is it just a feel good thing, not actually because the numbers, because just to refresh me, what's our total waste management bill? It's in the millions, isn't it?
Yeah, through the chair. If those metals are not removed from the waste, from the pit, it will add tonnage to the tons that goes to Gate Valley, which means that we have to pay $1,300 for each ton of metal that goes to the Gate Valley. But if we remove it and they sell it in their reuse shop, even if the money is goes to the contractor. We don't pay that 1,300 to the landfill.
Yeah, and we can, well, I think it's clear that they've allocated a resource to do this. So you would suspect that the revenue they're getting from that scrap metal is worthy of them getting a resource. It's at their cost and it's at their benefit.
Just as a fixed fee, effectively, to just manage the whole thing.
Yes, that's right.
Ellis?
Thank you. I can't see it in the report, but you were offering to have a sort of a collection area for some of that coloured sand that was recalled from Kmart. Did you get much of that, and is that service still open now? Because I see they've found some more product that they want to recall.
Through the chair, we haven't got any data from that activity yet, but it's still open. It's still available for the public to use.
Thank you.
Question, please, Phil.
Councillor Cameron?
The metal recovered from the pit, does that also go to the contractor? The funds?
Yeah, through the chair, they sell that through the reuse shop.
Okay, it doesn't go direct to metal recycling people. Okay.
Fernando, the slope remediation, the two photos there, the after looks awesome. Whereabouts is that part of the old bike track in the before?
Yep.
And how's it all going? And are we still on sort of schedule? I know it was going to take quite some time, wasn't it?
Yeah, through the chair. Yes, you're correct. That's part of the bike track. We're expecting that to be completed by next year, and we will start planting thereafter.
So the 10% of the scope of the work has been done, is that right? So we've still got a lot to go, but that's going to be finished next year.
I think they're now on the 40-50%.
Okay.
If I can just add, that was originally a project that was a 10-year project, and we allocated money for 10 years, and then we got a very good price from the contractor. So for a much less dollar value, we managed to bring it down to 5 years. So we're doing a lot sooner. So we just have a certain amount to do each year.
Great. Thank you. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. The 72 kilos of books and magazines left over from Bukarama that went to the Hope Trust Community Garden in Rangiora, what do they actually do with them? It sort of says it's going under a major revamp, but do they compost them? What do they do with those? Because they've always been a problem item to get rid of. So,
Through the chair, a lot of it was actually gardening magazines and books and that sort of stuff. So in Rangiora, they've opened up this whole new community hub type thing, and they've just taken them there, and they're giving them away to people. So
they're putting them on shelves to reuse.
Cool. Yeah. Councillor Cameron.
This is something I should remember. The waste education funding, is that a separate line in the accounts, or does that come out of the overall waste budget?
Yeah, through the chair. It's a separate line on the budget, but we pay. We get the money from the levies to pay for it.
You get the money from what, the Cape Valley levies?
No, the levies that we get from the government.
But
the levy fund.
Yes, so we pay levies at the landfill. That goes to a central repository, and then there's a calculation, and we get some of the money back. And the money that we do get back has to be spent on waste minimisation activities that have been defined in our waste management and minimisation plan.
Policy. Yeah.
And education is one of those.
How much do we spend on our education? About ballpark?
Around $280,000.
$80,000. And that, and that includes basically the shop and the people coming around looking in the wheelie bins and going to educate the kids and being at the events and stuff. Is that what that all includes?
it's the curbside. They don't actually have. They have the education centre that they man and have open.
We house.
Yes, yeah, that's correct. And the auditing of the curbside bins and all that sort of stuff. And then also attending the events like they do Glow. They do go to the shows.
Yeah, they do a great job.
That's all part of that. Yeah.
One more question. Do they pay a rental or a charge on the house? Or how's that?
No, that's
because of its location. It can only be used. Thank you.
2.2 and 2.3, Chrissy, stock water operations and exit transition. Do you have anything to add at all?
Through the chair, no, I don't.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Hi, Chrissy. With the continued dry, hot, warm weather, I assume some of these intakes are under even more pressure now than when you wrote this, and some are probably dry.
Through the chair, they're not dry yet, but we are having to get diggers and start altering at the intakes now. Yes, we are praying for rain again.
Councillor Cameron.
Cleaning the race. You say you want to clean it at the right time because you don't want to have to redo it and it costs more. Is that the race man or woman, or is it spray?
The mains, we maintain the mains, and that's generally mechanical, so it's a digger.
Yeah. And, okay, so just the mains down the main street, down the side of the roads and berms and stuff?
Through a lot of private properties as well.
Okay.
So,
and that's a digger essentially digging out the stuff.
But if we go in too early, then and we continue having hot weather, we then are having to go back and repeat. So we try and time it correct. So we're doing a whole lot at the moment in the lead up to Christmas, and then we'll kick off again after
And
Christmas.
what you dig out of the drain, just put it on the side of the ditch, do you, essentially?
Yes. The odd person would like it removed, so we remove some, but that then adds to the cost as well.
At whose cost? At the ADC's cost?
Yes, when we do the mains.
And where do you remove it to?
There's various pits that various contractors are able to use, or else sometimes farmers are happy to fill in a depression on their property.
Just remembering the ADC's cost is met by the rates paid by the Stockwater Network people. So yes, our cost, but it's part of the cost of running a network which is shared by the targeted rate payers.
Mealis.
Thank you. I'm just on the Craycroft intake, and you've had 75 responses, but you're not planning to do any wider stakeholder surveys or a public drop-in session. Because most of the others you have done with that sort of number, what's the reason for that? Is it just because it's quite clear-cut, or...?
Through the chair, it's because you've, with you guys being through the election period and all that stuff, we haven't actually arranged anything. But what I'm contemplating, and we'll discuss with Councillor Wilson, is we'll look at having a combined Craycroft and Klondike, probably in Hines, in the new year.
Oh, okay, so you just haven't done one yet?
Yes.
Got you. Thank you.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. With your indulgence, can I go back to waste management just with a question that I just remembered through old age? I believe Waste Management have the lease on the pit at Pendarvis for case it's needed if there's an emergency event to dump materials in. I'm just wondering, I went to the reserve board meeting out there, the pit's in a very poor state with broom and various things, if there's any plan to clear that up. At one stage it was all cleared and pretty, but unfortunately it's been let go again.
Yeah, through the chair, we have been in contact or in communication with our property team on how to clean the that particular pit.
Phil, I think your microphone's on. Councillor Wilson.
That's right. Sorry. The obviously at the Stockwater Transition Group the other day, we agreed to put to council that we're looking to shut the Pudding Hill, or most of the Pudding Hill scheme down. Have you had any feedback on that yet? Because obviously when you resolve something, people jump to attention and understand it, because it's coming to council next council meeting. So have you had any feedback from anybody on that?
At this stage, no.
Any further questions, councillors? That's it. Thanks, team. Thanks, Fernando, Chrissy. Next up, roads and footpaths. And Mark, have you been introduced to the new councillors, Mark?
No, not formally.
Neil, would you like to do that? Mark Chamberlain.
Yeah, Mark Chamberlain is our roading manager and has a team of, how many is it now?
8 of us.
8 roading engineers, safety, person and a road corridor person. So at some stage, maybe we can present to you a bit of an outline of the roading team and what they do and how they operate.
Awesome, thank you. Anything to add to your report, Mark?
Yes, I had a couple of things just under 2.4.3. So reseals are underway. Just under 14 kilometres have been done of the 80 we've got programmed for the year. Weed spraying has been done in the townships. It got a bit hairy there for a while. So there was a spraying done in October, then just a bit of wet weather, warm weather, weeds started growing. So there's been another spray run done now, so you can see a few dying off. And our maintenance contract started the 1st of December, so we're on our 10th day with working with Fulton Hogan. Most people wouldn't have noticed anything probably out there much different, but it's been going okay so far, so we'll see how that goes. And I had a couple other things under 2.4.7, the rehabs. So the Grant Hood contract, Forge Road's been sealed, one Long Beach Road site has been sealed, and another Long Beach Road site is under construction at the moment, so they're going okay. The Forge Road site will may need a bit of rework. The ride and the finish isn't as good as we'd like it, so we're still working with the contractor on that, but we're not making them go back just yet, wait till they've done a bit more. And the Fulton Hogan, the one Thompson's track section was sealed yesterday, so they've made use of the good weather and getting things done, so that's wanted to tidy that up before the Christmas New Year break, so traffic going down Thompson's track. And yep, I think that'll be enough. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Cameron.
With the new roading contract, the maintenance one, that includes the spraying of the urban situation. How many sprays per year? Was the last lot was 2, and when needed, was that right? And we paid for extra when needed. Is that correct?
There's no set frequency. It is when needed, so it depends on the weather and things like that. So if they have to do 6 sprays in the year, they'll do 6 sprays in the year. So, yeah.
Because you did say they've been done twice. Because there's Cass Street and anyway, you could all name hundreds of streets. Some look quite bad at the moment, so I guess it hasn't kicked in. But I can't see any evidence of them ever being sprayed.
Well, they have been because I've actually seen them. And,
I'm sure.
And
I'm
walked
sure.
past some this morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's in the older dish channels where it's worse. You're not able to clean them as well.
Yeah.
And they're growing in those. So yeah, it's something to always struggle to keep on top of. But the spraying needs to be done when it's needed. It's not on a set cycle. Yeah.
Okay. So my question, who digs, the weeds are just left to die, and then when there's a flood, they just block everything up. Do they ever, as part of the contract, is it taking the weeds away? Like they just lie there and die and block up the channels and the storm waters and all the rest of it?
As part of the channel cleaning, yes, it's that as well. I think ideally when they get to a point, I see some around that, I'd rather them go there and physically remove them rather than spray them, but that's something we can instruct them to do. But the channel cleaning takes care of removal of the debris and stuff like that.
Oh, so that's one and the same,
Yes.
essentially. Okay.
Yeah, same contract, different subcontractor, but yes, they're doing all of that. So, yeah.
Lichen on footpaths, Mark, does that come under the weed spraying and where needed? The last time we sort of talked about that, you said that in some cases it was less slippery to leave it there. Do we have a sort of set thoughts on that now?
Views haven't really changed. The lichen is there. It doesn't necessarily cause a problem, but there is a rate there for spraying it, which I know some residents don't actually like. I know a couple around me don't like the spraying of the footpaths being done, so don't put Roundup outside our properties and things like that, but that's essentially what we use. So, yeah.
So yeah, it's a wait till you get a snap send before you do anything sort of thing?
Yes, although sometimes people say it's slippery when it's more of an aesthetic thing. That is the main reason that people call up about it, the look of it, and that grows because of, I would say, lack of use, but low use, and your roads and footpaths. Yeah. And clean air helps with lichen, so it's a good thing.
You must be living in a good spot. Councillor Wilson.
With the new contractor taking over, how do you, because obviously when you get a new contract, you don't wait to see if they make a mistake. You get stuck in at the start to really be strong and strict with them. Do you do that, or how do you manage that?
Well, I wouldn't use strong and strict, but we work with the contractor. So we've had lots of good workshops with them, with the management and the supervisors of the crews, leading up to the contract starting. And so we're quite clear on what our position is and what we expect. And I think the contract is quite clear as well on what they're going to give to us as well. So anything that comes up we're not happy with, just as in the previous contract, we'll be talking with them, and our team talk with them pretty much every day on issues that come up either through CRMs or what we notice or what the contractors notice as well. So, but if they're not doing the work or they're not doing it to our satisfaction, they don't get paid until it is done to our satisfaction, which was in the previous contract and that's in this one as well. So, yeah.
And another question, mates, on the Will Street Rail Bridge. Obviously, it was put in place, and I see here that we've got a schedule of prices, specifications, and contract conditions compiled. When will we see the potential price of that come back? Because obviously we're in a different environment to what we were in. If it came back massively high, we would have to revisit it, or if it was under budget, would be fantastic. Or how do we tackle that?
We will know that when the contractor is priced and the tenders come in. So we have got it. We were hoping it was all done by now. There's been a few delays because of getting the documents together by the consultant, that's WSP, but also we require a deed of grant from KiwiRail to do work on the bridge. And so while it was gifted to council, there was no deed of grant put in place. So before you can actually get permission to do work on something, you need a deed of grant in the first place. And that's taken 3 months to, right? So that's not necessarily putting the bridge into KiwiRail rebit, but it kind of is. It's taken a long time for something they gifted to council to actually give us permission to then actually look after it. So that's in place. We're putting out the tender, even though that's not finally done yet, but letting the contractor know that we're still working on that. And as soon as we're able to get permission, then we'll do. We also need a building consent, probably get an exemption for it because it's not on private property. Need a building consent to do the work we're doing as well, so we'll get an exemption for that as well. So all those things in place. We're looking at closing tenders on 12th of February. So after that date, we will bring back to you the price and a recommendation depending on how it comes in against the budget, or the money we've got available rather than set budget.
Hamish?
Just to clarify that, if the tenders come back within budget, and if it's within delegated authority, we wouldn't be bringing that back to council to decide to proceed. That's the normal course of events. So we're not bringing everything back to council in the work program. If it's outside the budget, and if the budget allocation exceeds the chief executive's delegated authority, then that decision is for council. But it's not our intention to bring every work decision to council if it's already approved and within budget.
Yeah, just to clarify, it's meaning that was when we will know what the price is if we're awarding the tender just like any other contract. So yeah, the council will know then what the price of it is. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. A report will come to council if it's over what we've put aside for it.
Elis?
Thank you. I've been contacted about Allens Road, and I know that there's plans to widen and put curb and channel. When's the plan for that? Is it in our long-term plan or is it in our annual plan?
There are no set plans for upgrading Allens Road until there's funding put aside to upgrade Allens Road. So it would have to be done as an unsubsidised project that would come in front of council as part of an annual plan.
So that's the widening of it or the footpath side of it?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah. It's hard to do one without the other.
That project, I understood, was originally in our 10-year program when we applied for the last program. But when they cut the low-cost, low-risk category of funding, that dropped all the funding for those type of projects. So that's why we don't have funding from NZTA for those type of projects.
Councillor Gilkison.
Yeah, I just had a question around the lights in Tinwood. So I know that that's State Highway 1, so it's managed by NZTA, but I think anyone who's been through it will know that the phasing is not always ideal, and it does relate in a lot of people trying to jump the gaps, either coming from the Lake Hood side or heading out to the Mayfield side, which is a little bit unsafe. And so my question is just, do you continue to work with NZTA on those phasings and feeding back to them what's actually happening on the ground?
Yes, it is for NZTA and their traffic management in Wellington to actually look at those phasings and things like that. They're not easy to just change. Just a comment though, same with Walnut Ave and things like that. If you're caught at a red light when you actually want to be going, or there's a bit of a queue when it's busy, you're not happy with the phasing. And so there's always times, but except the Timwalk ones, there can be queues there, and particularly making right-hand turns and things like that. I think it's better than it was before in terms of getting on off the state highway, but there are busy times. So yes, we can pass those on to NZTA at any time, just as any other road users do as well, because I know other people get in contact with them as well. But it is controlled by the WTOC, so Wellington Transport Operations Centre in Wellington. They look after the phasing of the lights and make any changes and monitor and things like that. So they're looking at the cameras and that on a continuous basis pretty much. Yeah.
But we can make recommendations.
We can pass on what people are upset about and what the issues are, then they can look at it whether they can actually make any changes or not. So, yeah.
Okay. I did have a second question, if that's all right. Just another one that is nothing to do with council really, but people will be asking about the viaduct that is now being fixed, and does that just mean that the road will open, and what is happening there?
Well, it is council and Kiwi Rail. So Kiwi Rail is the viaduct, the road, and through it is council. So yes, once it's the beams have been replaced with the new concrete-filled steel ones that are going in there, the road will get open again. So that's planned to be next Friday, that work to be completed, so open before Christmas. Yeah, and we're putting some signage on the new beams as well, because couldn't transfer the existing ones on there, so the yellow signs will go on the new beams as well. So hopefully...
Is that the sign saying, don't go here if you're big?
It's saying this is the height of it. If you know how high your vehicle is, don't drive here. Yeah.
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 Okay.
That's not to say that people won't. So. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Neil, a question for you, following on from Deb though. If she is getting feedback about sequences of lights, should she send you an email to pass on to NZTA? What's the process for new council?
Yes, just through to me from a councillor, but if anyone else just puts through CRMs, they'll be followed through and passed on to NZTA. Yep. We did get feedback on the West Street one near McDonald's some time ago, which we fed through to them, and they did review it, and they tweaked the phasing a little bit. So they do take it on board. Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Moffat.
Hi, just wondering if you've had any feedback about the works on the second Ashburton Bridge from the public about the pile testing, that kind of thing. How's the feedback been, and do you actually refer that on to NZTA or?
Well, it is an NZTA running the project, so yes, and they had some feedback, and we had some as well about the delay in getting it done and the noise that was there. It wasn't too much, but the contractor doing the work has been talked to about if you're going to make changes and extend the completion date from when you said it was going to be, you need to let us know, and we need to inform the public, and that was a bit of a letdown there. So it was something that should inform people it's going to take a week longer than what it actually did. Yeah, but there was some feedback, but not a lot though.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Councillor Cameron.
Can I just hark back to the rubbish? I thought that the new contractor was going to donate the sales from the refuge shop for a goodwill gesture, or have I made that up completely? Made that up.
You're talking to Neil.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I don't recall it being in the Wasteco tender, but I can look into it for you.
Councillor Wilson.
I had a phone call from a concerned resident, which is on the road, Seafield Road, on the way down to the new apple orchard. And the apple orchard's a wonderful new project that's been done, but it has the traffic movements on those roads have quadrupled. You know, they're 10, 15, 20 cars more than before. How do we manage that if a new industry or a new organisation comes into an area? They obviously be paying more rates. They pay money to, it comes in the district. And how do we manage the roading in the interim between from when they get there and develop it, destroy the road for 2 or 3 years before it comes into our program? Do we drop them in early, or do we, how do we manage that change? Because the people, what I'm getting at is the people, it's a one-lane Tassel Road, and they're driving down the grass on either side we could do maintenance, but it won't be scheduled. That road will be a low-level road. It won't be the level of road it needs to be.
If the road needs work because of the traffic that's on it, then we'll have to deal with that, and it's a reactionary thing. If there's a resource consent to set up an establishment, and we think that the road needs upgrading, it can be a condition of the consent and paying for it. I'm not sure whether that was the case in that. I mean, in terms of the volumes of traffic, it's probably not that high, but I'm not sure which road you're talking about it. But if it's one of the narrow seal ones, ideally we'd do seal widening on it. again, we need to have funding for that. That was something that used to fit under our low-cost, low-risk funding as well. So either we can make a case for that as a one-off project, as an improvement, or council does it as unsubsidised. So we've got about 4 old, I'd say the old 15-foot seals that are out there, which is what they used to be standard. Most of them around the country have been widened, but they've got 4 that haven't been yet. So they've been sitting in our program to do, but we just haven't got the funding sitting there to do it, unless we decide to do them unsubsidised now.
Hamish?
Just to draw the distinction from a development that starts paying more rates than prior to the development, that money's not extra and is available for a particular project. The new value of that development simply shares in the rates that's required across the whole business, and everyone's share adjusts slightly by the value of the new development. The work program budget is still approved by council, and the work is then dictated via the work program. So there isn't extra money that can then be spent on a particular project because a development comes on stream and starts paying rates where it didn't previously. It's just then that new property shares the overall rates required, but the work program continues to dictate the work done. And so the priorities of the work program may change because of wear and tear or a change, but not because that property starts paying additional rates.
Councillor Wilson.
So when would so I've got 25, 26 work program in front of me. How do I get 27, 28, those extra years out? When are they sort of set? Because obviously we do have a 3-year NZTA funding, but if ease of figures, if the industry, that district entirely went to apples, and that spent a heap of money on that, it all, hundreds and hundreds of hectares went into apples in the area, and that it meant that there was miles more traffic on all the roads. We would then rate in the next year for that, get the rate money in, and I understand what you mean, Mr. Chief Executive. It would then mean that the general rates across all the roading would drop, but the need would increase. So would we not increase our unsubsidised roading to make that, to make that whole sort of thing, because we're actually getting the money in?
Well, you might, but you would do that as a decision of council to increase unsubsidised roading, and then the priorities within that increased budget would dictate what work got done. If the work doesn't get done because there's a new development and that they start paying additional rates.
Yeah, I'll just draw a parallel to, well, not a parallel, a comparison to the takeover of dairy on the Canterbury Plains. That has changed the traffic that's on our local roads, and that they irrigated, grew grass so the cows could eat it, produce milk. Milk tankers are on the roads every single day, on roads that never used to have milk tankers. They'd have the sheep sometimes and cropping at those periodic times of the year. So I would have thought that the dairy influence would have a far bigger impact than orchards, given that it's the times of the year, because the dairy is constant. And I know, my history at Selwyn, that had a real change to the networks, particularly the local roads, down seal roads and the very low volume seal roads. But you don't. You have to react to the impact that has and get subsidy for it and make a case to NZTA on why you need some more funding for that particular type of maintenance on the sealed roads and unsealed roads, which is what we've been doing, but we still don't get enough.
Any further questions, councillors? Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. On to 2.5, 2.6, contracts awarded, upcoming tenders, and Lake Hood. Neil, anything further to add?
Yes, since this update, I can just let you know that the containers are going to be lifted on the 18th of December and removed and cleaned and put aside until the real trial starts in the new year. Been really interesting. The team under Professor Susie Wood have learned quite a bit about the environment and how to test and how to sample, and it's been of really good use. It was really a pre-trial just to get familiar with the setup and the environment, which is going to help them set it up for February, March, April, the 3-month sort of scientific trials that they'll be doing.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Don't know if I want to ask this question or not. How's our testing going with this hot, warm weather we're having with the test ECAN I'm doing? What I'm talking about. How are they tracking with the time of year and the temperature and everything else?
Yes, so we are testing 10 sites as part of the research that we're doing, using the Sinofloor device, as well as taking temperature and pH, and getting a feel for how it changes now through the summer. Temperature is rising. The pH is exceptionally high at the lake, higher than expected. So it is looking warmer than before. ECAN have started their sampling and testing. They started 2 weeks ago, and we got the first result on Friday. And the result has us as in the green, so it's lower than the threshold for going into amber. So 0.03 millimeters per cubic millimeters per litre of biomass. But with the prediction of the weather and the warmth, no doubt we would likely see those increase.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Just the map of Lake Hood, Neil. What's the difference between the red dots and the yellow dots?
There's just a different sampling, different things that they're monitoring, and like one is temperature, one's DO, and pH. Yeah.
Councillor Wilson.
Because we're doing the next year's budget, which goes right out to 2027, how do you get some numbers together to, because obviously this stuff doesn't come for free, and some does, but it really, if it showed something was really good, everybody expect us to do something, immediately. How do you get something in the annual plan that is meaningful or has numbers around it? When we don't, because we don't want to come to do our annual plan, think we've done a good job, and then the next 3 months later we have a special thing to council for a whole lot of money to fix up Lake Hood. How do you do that?
So that's the challenge Tanya and I have, and we are putting together what we think would be required. If, for example, one of the products is successful, we've put in an amount, a nominal amount, to apply some of that product, but that's the best we can do at this stage. I don't know if Tanya wants to add anything.
Thanks, Tanya.
Probably the only thing I would add is when we went out for expressions of interest to all the product suppliers, we did ask for an estimate of what it would cost for their product for the whole lake. So I guess we do have some numbers to base off. We've got, it's a very wide range between the suppliers, but we do have a good idea, I guess, of what it would cost if we were going to use a product over the summer. So.
Great. Thank you. Any further questions? Thanks, Neil. Compliance and Development, 3.1, Building Services, Michael Wong, first up. Joining Ian, page 34, councillors. Hi, Michael. Good afternoon. Anything to add to your report?
Through the chair, no, we're just continuing the same upward trend. As of 5 minutes ago, we still had 84 new houses in our queue to process, and probably most of them wanted to be out by Christmas, but we might not meet that deadline.
Councillor Cameron.
Where are these people coming from, Michael?
I'm guessing a lot of them are actually sort of spec houses. So I'm not sure if they actually will be occupied on completion, so to speak. But yeah, we don't really track that information.
Because their growth rate isn't remarkably high, isn't it? It's just sort of flat and a little bit up. Yeah. And the value of work seems to be about the same, is that right, as previous year? But I just look at I'm only looking at a few months, but you've got unders and overs here, and they look to be sort of like they add up. About the same as last year.
Yeah, it's fairly static. Some months, like we had a $20 million for tallies upgrade, so that sort of bumps the figures up. That one consent can bump it up quite high.
When people come to you for building consents, is there a fast track and a slow track? Joins the one and can't pay $100 more and get a fast track. Everybody gets on the one track.
At the moment, everybody gets on the one track.
Okay.
There is a system through MBIE to have a multi-proof consent, which is a set standard design. which companies can apply for, and we must get those ones out in 10 days instead of 20.
So that would be a design that you're familiar with all the things in it you're
Correct.
familiar, and so you just check that there's this and this and this.
Yes.
And there you go. Thank you.
Just one from me, Michael. I see the building consents processed within 20 days. After a couple of 100% months and a 90-something% before that, we're sort of just dropped down to, looks like about 83% or something like that. Is that just a workload situation?
Yes, it is through the chair. It is the workload. I'll be pleased to say that when you read November, it's gone a little bit back up again, but December will be a little bit down again. So it's just trying to deal with all those influxes of the houses.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
The granny flat stuff, I see that the legislation's coming. When do you think people will be able to be, because there could be people sitting waiting to see what happens, and it says early January. Is there a date been set yet, or when does that?
Through the chair, we're thinking around March for the actual legislation to fully come into force. We've seen some draft paperwork that we have to review and issue, and make comment on those. But yeah, we think of around about March.
Any further questions, councillors? Thanks, Michael. Thank you. Appreciate it. Up next, Civil Defence Emergency Management. Afternoon, Jim. Anything to add to your reports?
Nothing further to add.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Cameron.
Oh, thanks. There was a 7 something, or was it 6.7 or 7.6 in Japan? Did we see any rise in the tsunami, in the swell on our beaches or anything?
No, there's different magnitudes of earthquake that set off triggers for tsunami warnings for New Zealand, and a 7.6 in Japan didn't meet that criteria.
Wow, 'cause it seems so big.
I think the last one that we had over that way was the one in Kamchatka, which was around about 8. So that met the threshold, and we had the warnings from there.
Okay, one more question. This is a theoretical question. Is there any evidence to suggest if there's an earthquake in Japan, the Ring of Fire is more active and there could be an earthquake in New Zealand? Or is there no data linking them together? Or is it one of those things that no one knows?
That's a great question. And I'm unable to answer it. I don't have the technical expertise for that, so no. Okay.
Jim, what sort of equipment do we have from Sport Canterbury that's all about the well-being upstairs?
We haven't been given any equipment yet. They are talking about putting together packs, which they have done for the West Coast. And really, the meeting I had with them was to see whether it was something we were interested in here in the district. And as we've forwarded it on to Canterbury Group, so they're talking about it, whether it's something we want to do regionally with Sport Canterbury. Basically, that would be a kit of some toys and balls and that sort of thing for kids to play with to help try and get them back to their new normal pretty quickly.
Okay, thanks. And just a quick one before you, Richard. The generators, we provided the Noodle Market. Everything worked good with them?
So we have 2 generators, another one being built at the moment, and we do provide those to economic development for events. Mainly generators like to be run under load, and that's the great way of testing them and using them. So it works good for all parties. But it was a good night, as I understand.
Great, Councillor Wilson.
Thanks. A few years ago, we had a lot of discussions after the Canterbury floods and winds about cell phones going out, and then just recently in Southland, exactly the same thing happened a few years later. Has anything progressed? Because we talked about making sure the generators could actually just put fuel in, they'd go, and the cell phone coverage would continue. Has anything more happened? Because obviously it happens exactly the same in Southland that we had. In Northland, they had the same trouble. Has anything happened on that, or is it just too hard?
National Emergency Management Agency have taken steps to work with the telcos for it. One of the issues they had at Gabrielle was a good example. The generators that were put out there were promptly removed by people who wanted them. The battery backup seems to be the only way that can really work. Key sites do have generators, and some of them have solar generators as well. It's like everything, as new iterations come out, we get better backups to these things. But we still have some dead spots in the district that we know of, and unfortunately, it takes funding to fix those, and there's not a lot around at the moment.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Probably a similar question to Richard, to be fair, Jim, but I've read your rather full report again, which is excellent. And it appears to me that we're ready as we can be for the further civil emergencies, whatever. Is there other things you continually improve on, or are we as ready as we can be to cater for, say, flooding or earthquakes or whatever?
I think we're in a really good state of readiness. We've certainly improved over the last few years, and my predecessors did good work in that space as well. There's always more that we can do, but that's that fine line you've got to find between, being fiscally prudent and being ready for these things. So I think we're in a good space, and we continue to find little incremental improvements that we can do.
Mealis.
Thank you. You held a Pandora exercise, I think it was in November. How did that end up? Was that, and probably following on from Councillor Todd's question, how did that end up? I went there at the beginning of it, made the declaration.
Through the chair, I think it was a good exercise. It allowed us, we actually had members from Canterbury Civil Defence Group come down and conduct an audit on us to see where we were at. That's come back, and we're over 50% ready to go. So that's the best we can ask for. It's very difficult when you're using volunteer staff in an emergency operations centre. There's always a lag at the start where everyone's trying to get their head back into the game, and a one-day exercise, unfortunately, that's exactly how we have most things that go on the day. We'd certainly improve by the end. I understand that the media stand-up was outstanding, so we got there in the finish.
Thanks.
Ian, did you have something to add?
Yeah, just back to the previous question about readiness in the district. I think the other thing, just to add to Jim's point, is the other thing that civil defence emergency management, what we do in this building and with the people that Jim's involved with, is just one of the parts of it. It's also part of it is the community, and just continuing to maintain that message of having grab bags ready, having emergency supplies, having an evacuation plan, having all of those things, and being prepared to help yourself, particularly in the first hours and days following a significant event. That just needs to be re-emphasised.
Talking community, nice segue to my question, excuse me, Councillor Moffat. Are we needing more volunteers, Jim? I see you've met with 2 potentials during September. Are you always on the lookout? Are you short at the moment, desperately short? How are we sitting?
Through the chair, we've actually got a fairly good group of volunteers at the moment. Part of Exercise Pandora, we ran a exercise at the Fairton Hall and stood up a civil defence centre out there and conducted some needs assessments with the community, and that went reasonably well. We've got a good group. We're always looking for more, and we're actively recruiting on the Volunteering Mid-South Canterbury website. So as people come up, that's the first port of call, is to catch up with them, have a coffee, talk with them about what we do and whether they want to be involved.
Councillor Moffat.
I'm sorry if you end up sort of reiterating things said before. It's on a similar theme. So with those wind events that we had, particularly in September, presumably dealing with the wind event is different to dealing with other civil emergencies. So are you working towards any specific ways of, presumably in the future, these are big going to become more severe and more often. So what are you looking at around wind in particular?
Through the chair, pretty much all emergencies are dealt with in the same way. So we stand up an incident management team. If needed, we then activate our operations centre. We work with Canterbury Group and indeed up to national if we need to. So it's everything to do with CDEM is quite a process. It's quite SOP driven. So one of our key tasks to do during our training is to practice those procedures, practice our SOPs, get ourselves as best that we can, that we're able to respond as quickly as we can.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Hey, Jim. With the hot, dry conditions we're having, obviously heightened fire risk, are we going to have some comms around that? Because weirdly, there was you've put a thing in here on the flood in the Rakaia River, but the biggest risk down there right now is fire, bizarrely. So, yeah, so are we going to do some heightened comms around fire risk around the district and what people should and shouldn't be doing?
Through the chair, yes, is probably the short answer. We await the comms, and generally we share the comms that come from Fire and Emergency New Zealand. They understand that risk and manage that risk on behalf of New Zealanders and do a good job of it here in our district. So once they respond to that heightened risk and get the information out, we would definitely share that through our channels.
Looks like it for questions, Jim. Thank you for your time. Appreciate the report, mate. And up next, alcohol licensing bylaw monitoring and enforcement with Rick. Afternoon, Rick. Anything to add to your report?
Thank you. Through the chair, no, nothing further to add.
And we'll take questions also on the animal control and food safety councillors. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. The on-off club new applications, were they for new premises or were they for like sports clubs or?
Thank you. Through the chair, a mixture, which I can come back to with full details.
Councillor Wilson.
3 years ago, we redid the outdoor eating and areas and the timing that pubs could be out in the outdoor areas. Has that worked? Has that made any difference? Do you think that because we made them a lot longer and so they go later, and there was quite a few changes we made?
Thank you. Through the chair, we've had no pushback or complaints about it. All seems to be working okay.
Rick, a question from our Road Safety Committee meeting yesterday. One of the local police asked about CCTV footage of a parking warden incident that wasn't released to police. They wanted to know why. Can I ask that here?
Thank you. Through the chair, we didn't receive a request from the police for any footage. Normally, in those circumstances, they request the information directly.
No request? No.
I've received no request.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, councillors? Thanks, Rick. Up next is planning and Brad. Afternoon, Brad.
Good afternoon.
Anything further to add?
No, nothing further.
Questions? Councillor Ellis.
You got it, Brad. We saw through the previous report from building that our building consents for new houses are way up. Are we seeing a corresponding increase in people wanting to subdivide sections to match the demand that there seems to be for houses at the moment?
Yes, so we typically see the demand ahead of time of building. We'll see it through the plan changes in the subdivisions, but they have been up. We've had a huge amount of interest in plan changes, and we've got 2 ongoing at the moment. Only one relates to housing, but I think we're sitting at about 30% up on subdivisions as well.
Councillor Wilson.
With the dropping also of the Resource Management Act and the huge changes there, how does that affect your department? Does it mean there's people wait, or do they try and rush in early when they know, or how does that affect your workload? And because you'll be right at the front of it, so you'll be thinking now, and where's it head?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just if I can perhaps jump in just before Brad, it dropped yesterday. So I think we have a time with council scheduled for next week. We want to take the time between now and next week to just understand the ramifications of that legislation, and rather than Brad perhaps jump to an initial answer, we can continue to read, learn and receive as much information as possible to give you a more considered briefing next week. There's clearly big change coming, but exactly what that is not completely clear to us yet. So if that's okay, we could just wait for a week and we'll get it next week.
Looks like it for questions. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. Economic Development, Shelley. Afternoon, Shelley.
Afternoon.
Anything further?
No, thank you.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. G'day, Shelley. The Mayor's Task Force for Jobs, can you explain to me how the funding has changed?
Thank you, through the Chair. We're in the third contractual year of MTFJ currently. The funding is allocated from MSD around about May or June, I believe, for the year ahead. In the first year, I believe it sat at around 325,000 funding. Last year was 220,000, and this year is 280,000.
Oh, so it's sort of
it depends
up
on
and down and up and
yes, it depends on the tier that your district sits in, and we sit in tier 1.
So, okay.
Could I just elaborate slightly further? So that I'm sure that answer is right in terms of the absolute numbers. The biggest change, though, for the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs over the last 6 months has been the focus on the job seeker list. So previously, the whole program was focused on the younger people, the NEETs, and it was trying to get those people into training or employment. And then this government has made a change where I think it's 80 or 90% of the outcomes that we need to achieve to keep getting the money needs to be those already on the job seekers list, i.e. Older than the NEETs. So that's been the most significant change, rather than there has been a decreasing pie, but the big change is a different focus of who it is the program is trying to help.
I think Liz told us about that at some stage, I'm pretty sure.
Well, we did bring it to council at the time of the change because it was a very significant change. And we know, for example, there have been some councils who have opted out of the scheme because of that change. We wanted to carry on and support those people that the scheme was focused on, but it's a different group to the primary focus of the last 2 or 3 years.
So, to identify those particular potential candidates, do you liaise with...
MSD refers them to us. They have to be...
they refer... So everybody in Ashburton is referred to you and you contact them and see if you can find them work.
The ones for the job seekers.
The job seekers,
So the small portion, the 5 a year we're allowed from the NEETs list, that is an exception. Everybody else has to be referred by MSD to count as an outcome.
Okay. And then you've got to find placements for X amount of people in order to meet the goals, in order to get the funding for the subsequent years. Is that
correct?
Correct.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Mine's also around Mayor's Task Force Job. I just noticed that the referrals were 25 and then it says 13 not fully engaged. What happens with those 13 that aren't fully engaged? Like, do they drop off the list or do you keep following up with those 13 to do something with them?
Thank you, through the Chair. There's no one answer. Some are not engaged because they don't think that they need work. Some have broken a limb and can no longer do the work that they were set up to do. Some have led the district, etc., etc. Those that are don't have any great excuses are followed up with twice, and at that point, if they fail to attend a meeting, then they are rejected from the program, and the next people on the list are entered into the meetings and program.
The Business of the Year Awards, are there any councillors doing judging this time around, Shelley?
Yes, this year we have the Mayor is choosing the Supreme Award winner, as other years. Also, we have an Emerging Business Leadership Award, which is judged, the councillor involved again is the Mayor on that one, and Councillor Gilkison was a judge in the tourism category.
Awesome. Councillor Moffat.
Hi, just wondering how the practical driver's test waiting list is going, because I know there were issues a while back about people having to wait for a very long time and going out of town to other centres to sit their tests. How's that going here?
Thank you, through the chair. Wait times have decreased significantly to the point where some youth may fail in the morning and resit in the afternoon. So much better.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. You had a meeting with a Arowhenua delegate to discuss land available in Ashburton CBD and surrounds. Just, are you able to elaborate? What was that about? Was it for a business or?
Thank you, through the chair. This was reasonably early in my tenure, and the delegate from Arowhenua was also new into their position, so we met on a number of things, which led to a follow-up meeting on different investment opportunities within the district, and what we talked about, obvious spaces within the CBD that are sitting empty at the moment, as well as work going on at the Polytech, etc. Nothing has happened since then. There's been no follow-up. It was just a information sharing.
Yeah, Liz.
Thank you. And the sentence above that on funding from the Regional Events Boost Fund, was anyone successful with that? I see you expected to get an outcome early November.
Thank you, through the chair. Sadly, we received no joy on any of the 4 applications. They were all rejected.
Oh, that's a shame.
Quick one from me, Shelley. The appointment of the new events advisor was completed during the period with current staff member seconded to the role until the end of February. Is that the one that's on seek that's ending today? Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, the public applications closed today, and we're hoping to interview in person in the next week and make an appointment pre-Christmas if possible.
Awesome. Councillor Gilkison.
Just around district promotion, you've just got a couple of significant spikes around 11th September and 2nd of October. What were they? What was it that people were loving?
Thank you, through the chair. I think with the September date that you're talking about, it will be prior to the Noodle Festival, Hakateri Noodle Festival. There was quite a good campaign running at that stage to garner interest for people to come to the district. 2nd of October, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, sorry, but I can certainly find out and come back.
Because, I mean, if it's event driven as well, that's good to know that that's also what people are really wanting to see and responding to well.
Yep, agree.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Just on a similar vein, on page 61, which has got the pedestrian count, September the 22nd was Boulevard Day, which was shifted to Bering Square for the first time. So it proved that obviously shoppers didn't just stay at Bering Square; they did move through the town in general. So I thought that was quite good information, really.
Millis.
Me again, thank you. Light Up the Night seemed to be very successful. Have you got an estimate of how many people may have turned up for that?
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. Really difficult to make a good guess, but based on other years, particularly last year, we were told last year was around 5,000, and I didn't attend last year, but those that did said it was very, very similar numbers, so short answer, 5,000.
Councillor Cameron.
Can I go to 3.7.4, the pedestrian counts and the CBD activity?
Mm-hmm.
When I look at them, there's no rhyme or reason, hot, cold, rain, no rain doesn't seem to impact the pedestrians, and I understand it's people going under the counter, so it's not a tidy number, it's not it's per transaction. I understand that, so I think we can assume it's consistently per transaction. I'm a little bit concerned when you try and marry that up with some of the reports we get out of, from Central. What are those reports we get, Hamish, from, Infometrics, those sorts of things. They don't show any economic growth or dollars, spending increase in terms of dollars. I see the numbers are tending, if we assume that they're both all the same, are down. Do you have any thoughts as to how we can influence that in a positive fashion in the short term? Like, we have got, somebody mentioned the Boulevard Day got more people there, maybe, but they haven't spent a lot more money,
I think the last information from Infometrics or Business Canterbury did show that this
Not
economy
retail.
was growing.
Not retail.
Not retail.
No.
But there's more than retail in the CBD. So I think
Well, there's the banks and there's insurance companies.
people coming to town.
Yeah, but
moving around. So
and they're moving
they're
around, but
proxies,
not retail.
they're proxies for activity. So I'm not.
Yeah, they are indeed proxies for activity. We don't need proxy because we've got the pedestrian count. So we can see what the activity is, and it's down 10%, I think, according to our own analysis. I think it says in the report that it's down about 10%. In October, was it, or somewhere I read somewhere. And we see the Infometrics data to show that the retail is down, and I cannot recall what it was down by. But as you say, that's not the whole CBD. There's indeed hospitality, which I think if you spoke to them, they are also struggling a little bit. But do we have any solutions for that? It's irrelevant what causes it. I'm trying to think of, do we have any...
I just wonder whether the activity briefing is the right forum for this kind of strategic discussion around issues like this. We are bringing to council the 6-monthly update on the economic development strategy. Maybe that's next week. Yes,
that's a good idea.
So I think that's the opportunity to drill into the future and some more strategic kinds of issues. That the activity briefing was set up more just to give councillors information on stuff that's going on, as opposed to big in-depth examinations of future strategic issues. Because it's a little bit beyond the activity briefing kind of scope.
I take that on board.
Yeah.
And may I ask one more question through the chair? Sure. When we're looking at Facebook is that your department, Shelley? Facebook likes and Instagrams and things like that, and we measure them, and they seem to be doing really well, and the links are followed through, and that presumably that's a proxy for engagement. This is something for when we have our discussion, our workshop. What does that engagement mean in terms of what is it yielding?
Thank you, through the chair. It's a great question, and it's a complex answer. In terms of metrics for social media, things like likes are a vanity metric which don't really indicate engagement. The things that we look at and measure upon are the click-through rates through to the campaigns that we're running. So we might post something about the Conservation Park, and that will link through to our website with information on the Conservation Park and operators within that space.
Yeah.
Those are the metrics that we're looking at, and that's the engagement. We can see where the people on the website are referred to from, and we know that campaign's working.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
It does partially, but I'm going to save the rest of the question for another day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like it for questions. Thanks, Shelley. Thanks for your report. Up next, people and facilities. And first up, customer services, Amanda and Sarah. Hi, Amanda.
Hello all. It's the first time I've seen the new council. So
good.
Hello everybody.
Sarah, can you introduce Amanda, please? Thank you.
Absolutely. Amanda is our customer services team leader. She has a team of seven staff within her team, and it's about 6 FTEs, so a couple of part-time positions in that role. And it includes clearly the counter inquiries, the call centre, and other tasks that, from an organisation perspective, help with the operation.
Anything to add to your report, Amanda?
No, but I've got goodies or good things to give you. Just with being a new council, I thought this was an opportune time to give you some flyers about the rates rebates. So when members of the public are coming to you and saying, we're low income, is there any way you can help us? You've got a flyer that you can give them that they can read and contact us, but also some business cards with regards to the SnapSend Solve. So again, have a few in your bag or your pockets that you can hand out to customers.
Awesome. Thank you. Questions, councillors? Councillor Gilkison?
Hi. So the customer request raise look to be a wee bit higher than previous years. Is these the ones that come directly to you? Do they involve SnapSend Solve as well? Or are they just the ones people phoning?
Through the chair, quite a few different avenues of how they come in. So yes, through the phone and reception desk, also SnapSend Solve, also through email, when people are needing something, also through our website, but also some of the contractors are able to enter in requests, and that's the gross contamination with the curbside collection. So, and that's just helped build the number up.
So is the SnapSend Solve kind of pushing more people to raise requests? Is that why it is quite, because it's quite significantly higher than the other ones, really, if you, yeah.
Yes, it is. And SnapSend Solve just give us that perfect picture of what the problem is. If the bin's got a broken wheel or a split, or if the road sign has been knocked off at road level, or the whole post has come out, it does help our contractors take out the right equipment to make the job an easier job to complete.
Cool. Thank you.
Councillor Cameron?
Thank you. I'm looking at the rates rebate graph, Amanda, and that is up. It appears to be up. And I know you guys have been very proactive, or you and your team, of going out and visiting people in their nursing villages or whatever to try and facilitate that sort of thing. Do you think that's driven that early increase, or do you think it is a genuine, cost of living crisis and people are really struggling with their rates, or what do you think is driving that?
Through the chair, a bit of both, with the timing of when the new council year starts. The increase in rates happens to be in the middle of winter, so they've got higher power bills, insurance bills, anniversaries are coming through. So I think it's a timing thing. People also don't want to miss out. They want to get in and get their rebate before we start doing the quarterly transactions.
So they're doing that more this year than previous years. So I'm just looking at that rates rebate graph.
Yeah.
So they want to get in and out earlier than they have in previous years.
In previous years, but also the eligibility of the rebates for the with the Super Gold card has just meant that many people who did miss out have been able to get a rebate, but more likely get the full rebate. So that
in upcoming years and things.
Very much so.
Yeah, that was successful.
Yeah. Yes, it was very successful and very much well received by the Methven community, the Rakaia community. I don't think we would do 2 trips in a year, because we seem to capture a lot at the first time.
Yeah.
But they're now just coming in more slowly and more.
One more question, and that was advertised through not allowed to say Facebook, through Facebook and Instagram and things. As per we've discussed earlier, that's how people knew you were coming out.
Not through social media. Ours was done through more the wee newsletter mailers that the residents have in Rakaia and in Methven, and also mentioned in our newspaper as well.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, excuse me. Also, the letter that we sent with the rebate application form for the Methven and Rakaia residents was sent with the date of our time in Methven and Rakaia in the message, so they knew exactly when we were coming to them.
Great. Thanks, Amanda. That's it for questions. Up next, it's the library. And once again, Sarah, if you could introduce Jane, the new councillors.
Certainly. So this is Jane Reag. She is our library manager, and yes, everything, everything that includes the library is within Jane's area of responsibility, and she has an FTE of, I'm going to guess, around 10 and a half. Yeah. Quite a number of part-time employees, so 18 in terms of headcount.
Thanks, Sarah. Anything to add to your report, Jane?
No, thank you.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Gilkison.
Once more, just a clarification on the second graph that you've got there. What do you mean, issues? Like, is that issues that arise? Like, what are we measuring?
We're measuring the number of books that are travelling around.
Ah, issued
Yes.
books, that would make
Yes.
sense.
Yes. Thankfully not. Thankfully not issues in the sense of bad issues. These are good issues. We like books going out the door.
Okay, good, I'm glad.
Could be a chocolate fish for that. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. G'day, Jane. With regards to activities coming up to Christmas, are you running more? Like, because school holidays and more people out and about in the summer, or the same, or?
Through the chair, we're actually running a sort of a hybrid section of activities this school holidays. So some of the activities will be static, standalone, and we've got all the paraphernalia out for them and the instructions, and we'll have staff sort of overseeing it, so people can come and go when they like, when it actually suits them in their day. But we've also got some activities that are planned at specific times, as we have, in the past on, Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays at 10:30. So we've got a hybrid version this holidays.
Oh, great. Thank you. And one more question. Paid meeting rooms has sort of been pretty much consistent. Is that, when I look at it, it doesn't look a lot. But I don't know if it is a lot or not. Like, if I look in October, you've got 21 paid meeting rooms. Is that somebody booking it for an hour or 2 hours, the meeting room paying the library some money? Is that right?
Through the chair, will they actually pay through customer services?
Yeah.
Customer services take the payment, and those instances of the meeting rooms could be a 1 hour, could be a 2 hour, could be a full day. A half day, they're varying.
And is that what you budgeted approximately? Is that you're on budget for those paid meeting rooms? Like, we're doing well in that?
That's a very challenging question to answer. When we did our initial budget for the first year, it was a complete guess. Clearly, we've adjusted our income down. As you can see, a lot of ad hoc meeting rooms are used, and they're free of charge. So in terms of capacity, we have meeting room spaces. People prefer not to pay if there is the opportunity not to. And as you can see, that's why it outweighs the paid meeting rooms. The booking system that's coming in the coming weeks will provide a bit more criteria and also efficiency around this process, and also around bookings and obtaining the revenue. So that will be a benefit from having that new system.
And some information and stuff. Yeah, thanks.
Milas.
Thank you. Hi, Jane. Recycle a device. You've got 74 people on the wait list and only 2 laptops have been distributed. So is that because not enough laptops have been donated, or there's just so many people that want them and they get snapped up early? How does it work?
Through the chair, the Recycle a Device is a great program. We recycle the devices locally here in the library using high school students, and depending on the condition of the device, they can take longer or shorter periods of time to be recycled and then be usable and go out again. Our wait list has grown enormously, primarily because we get groups of people who discover it all at once, and so they tell all their friends, and we get 20 or 30 people come in and get themselves on the wait list. We have closed the wait list for now. We have just received 17 recycled devices from other recycling places. I think quite a number from Boys High and Christchurch, who do the recycling but don't actually have a distribution arm. So they've come to us this week and we'll be distributing those prior to Christmas, so that will get our wait list down. And we're doing a few sessions through the school holidays as well to try and get a few more laptops up and running for people.
Councillor Moffat.
Hello. So the Lifelong Learning Festival was obviously hugely successful, over 600 people. I'm just wondering, is there room for growth with it? Or was there any wear and tear on the library and the facilities with that many people coming and going? So 2 questions there, really.
Through the chair, yes, wasn't it wonderful? It was just, a magical time. We thoroughly enjoyed hosting it here in the library. We're not sure that we could get any bigger than that. That felt at capacity to us, as it probably did to you, because you were here on the evening and it was humming. So we're just not sure that we can grow it. There was a lot of work went into creating it and bringing it together. We had 40 odd organisations here actually showing and letting people experience the things they do in terms of learning. So we're looking at thinking maybe it's something we could do every couple of years. We had no particular issues in the building with regard to wear and tear from that activity.
Jane, it's cool the things that you're doing now, man. Libraries have evolved, remote control car racing and things like that. It's awesome. Do you see still room overall for growths and more ideas and more events? And, I guess with new staff and things, they'll be feeding in some vibrant new ideas and things. Are you open for that, or are you thinking,
No, through the chair, we are all guns blazing. We are constantly seeking out new ideas and plans, and and if anyone's got any ideas, just throw them at us, because we're open to everything, and we love giving things a go and seeing if it can work in the library. So,
awesome. Keep up the good work. Thanks for your report.
Thank you.
EA Network Centre next, and Richard. Richard, have you been introduced to the new councillors yet? Sarah, I'll get you to do the honours, please.
Sorry, hi. This is Richard Wood. He is our Sports and Recreation Manager at EA Network Centre. Him and his team of direct reports have, I'm going to say, about 80 headcount and an FTE of around 28. So a lot of part-time employees work at EA Network Centre.
Anything to add to your report, Richard?
No, just to say hello to the new council. I did meet a lot of you at the opening of the mini golf, and thank you for joining us that evening. But no, nothing further to add to the report.
Awesome. Questions, councillors?
I've got a quick question. It's not in here, but have you got any numbers on how many people have visited the mini golf so far?
Through the chair, I was asked to report this on Monday. The tickets or the admissions that have been purchased to date as of Monday include people who had played already and forward bookings. So this number is total so far. It's around 1,700 people have engaged with the mini golf course thus far. So very exciting. We will have better data than that going into probably towards the end of the summer.
And it is on the assumption that people do book. So if people rock up and choose not to book and just use it by themselves without booking, and clearly there's no charge to that, but without the booking we don't have the numbers. So it is as good as what we have on available to us.
But if someone purchases a club to use or putter to use, that counts as a booking?
Yes, we do add that in.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But the interesting thing, well, I found it interesting, the first, I think it was the first weekend, we had 2/3 of people playing the course bringing their own clubs.
Yeah, it leads nicely my question. Going forward, do you see you dropping the booking system? And I mean, you'd think numbers will ease back.
Through the chair, thus far my observation, I don't see numbers easing back. I've just left a number of groups playing on the mini golf course right now. And just to share, that ranges from young people who have finished school for the year to college groups, to family bookings, to just random people who have come to town. So there is a massive diverse range of people coming to enjoy the course. Too early to say whether it will slow down or speed up. We haven't debated yet whether we drop the booking system or don't, but without the booking system, I wouldn't have any metrics of any sort to be able to tell you at this point either.
You haven't had any issues with people booking and then people rocking up and both sort of being on T-Box number one? And
not that anyone's made me aware of, no.
Awesome. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, and thanks for your report, Richard. When I look at the facility-wide visitation, and then I go down and look at, for example, the gym and fitness visitation, the KPIs are lower than the actuals. Why is that?
Through the chair, those KPIs were set through the long-term plan process, and I will take advice from the people that do that, but I would assume that they will be revised again within the next long-term plan process, looking to Tony over here for that.
So we're sort of doing an intuitive process where we up our KPIs to meet our actuals, otherwise there's no stretch. There's no stretch in the KPIs if we...
Tony?
Thank you. Through the chair, I probably was more just going to confirm what Richard had said, is that we review the service level arrangements for each activity, and that includes the KPIs through the long-term plan process. It's a bit of an art, because if you go and set them so high that you're then having to invest more money than what you're prepared to do to try and meet them, then you can end up with getting a perverse outcome from what you're aiming for.
Yeah, I take your point, Tony, absolutely. We don't want to promote more and spend more when we're having a fiscally challenging time, but I think also there's got to be a tension between the expectations and the reality, and there's always got to be that, and I think we need to set, like a target that's achievable, of course, but requires some effort. And this appears to not require effort because it's well below what we actually have done the last 2 years.
It's required an awful lot of effort.
Yeah.
In the fact
compared to what Richard's achieved in the previous few years, it's lower.
That's right, but don't equate it to no effort.
No,
They've
I beg your pardon.
Very hard and had a whole lot of new programs and worked very effectively to exceed the KPIs. And council will get to review those KPIs when they next do the LTP.
Yeah, I think you misunderstood me. I don't mean no effort. I understand the staff work hard and they do a good job. I'm not trying to say they do not, but I'm trying to say that there needs to be a tension between the reality and the actual, and that's our job around the table. So we need to revisit the KPIs to make sure they still maintain a challenging KPI. That was all my point was going to be.
And through the chair, the KPIs are one factor. Last year is another factor, and just the determination and drive to keep doing more is pretty much our main driver. And there are circumstances that, like a particular event, if it was the bowls, indoor bowls, for example, there's some factors that do boost numbers for a reason. And if you don't have that on an annual basis, then you can expect to have a decline. So there's lots of factors at play, but facilitation use is our number one driver.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you.
Councillor Everest.
Just interested in your comments, Richard, in terms of the splash deck. Was the repair successful, and what have we learned from it?
Through the chair, yes, it was, and is and will be for a long time. The product that's on it now is the most widely used splash deck product in the world. It has a longer lifespan than any other product, and so we're very, very happy with what's there. The learnings from that project were the contractor that recommended that product has since recommended not using that product, but they stood by their product, or stood by their workmanship and remediated it. So that contractor, whilst the initial install didn't work, it's quite clear it didn't work, have stood by their workmanship and come up with a better solution for our district.
And there are other circumstances in an environment similar but outdoors where drainage was different, so it was actually retrofitting the product in our environment that caused the issue, as opposed to the product itself being faulty or not usable for a similar like thing. So it's more the retrofitting that was the problem.
While we're talking products, Richard, have you been told the steam room surface is failing?
Yes, and it's underway to be repaired.
Thank you. Councillor Moffat.
A couple of things I'm interested in knowing. Do you have enough lifeguards at the moment? I was there a couple of months ago and it closed early because there weren't enough staff. So coming into summer, how's the lifeguard situation? And also, it looks great that they've done that new qualification. So do you bring someone in to teach that qualification, or is that done online?
To your first question, we're actually training 6 new lifeguards today and tomorrow and over the next week. Every year we go through an attrition. There are a lot of our young people get jobs, they finish high school, they get jobs, they go off to uni, etc., etc. So every year we kind of have that attrition base, and we're going through that at the moment. Once we complete that, we'll be back to fully staffed again. The qualification, the International Lifeguard Training Program. So to give the new councillors the background, we're the first public pool in New Zealand to undertake this program. We're actually the first public pool in Australasia to undertake that program. At this stage, we bring in a trainer to complete that program. He's an aquatic specialist from the North Island. He's got massive experience across facilities, previously with Auckland Council. We're working with him to upskill our training staff and our managers to be able to deliver that program in-house, and with the hope of eventually be able to deliver it for ourselves and other facilities, wider regions, etc., etc. So at the moment we're going through that process. Since implementing that program in September, October, we've noticed that our staff engagement with customers is a lot better, and therefore our incident rates have begun to drop off. To my knowledge, there's only been 1 instance of a wet rescue in the last 2 months. So for us, that's actually a pretty good metric.
Right, thank you.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. I just noticed that there's a there's a program nationally, I suppose, to get more people to learn to swim, and I noticed your figures are also up. But it's also getting, I suppose, older people to learn to swim as well. Are these figures here mainly through getting young people, children, or are you finding an increase in adults who want to learn to swim?
Through the chair, the majority of our program is young people. We engage particularly with young people through schools and through kind of some of our teenage brackets as well. That said, our adult programs are growing. We have a lot of interest in our adult programs, and it's about finding the right time to be able to deliver those programs to adults to be able to learn to swim. But our primary goal remains improvement in swimming for the whole community. So if there is a segment and a level of interest from the community, we'll do our level best to deliver to that.
Melis.
Thank you. Basketball tournaments, have you got any coming up next year, or is it going to be a 2-yearly cycle now?
Through the chair, we've got a couple of smaller ones, 99% locked in for next year. 3-on-3 tournament that we've had previously is coming back. The big one that we usually have in October is now, Alan said, I believe it's on a 3-year cycle. So it moves around the South Island, north part, mid part, south part. And as we're seeing more facilities come online, there will be more challenge for those tournaments, and some of those other facilities have more courts and more space than us. So there will be challenge, but there will be ongoing negotiations and conversations with our sports partners to try and deliver those.
Richard, looking at your ladies swim night, and then also the success of your yoga classes and additional ones being fully booked, have you thought about doing a blokes yoga class? I assume predominantly that the current yoga classes are mainly females, but
through the chair, I would call you out for that assumption that it is not entirely true. I would say it's probably 2/3, 1/3 would be our makeup of yoga classes. We're always open to opportunity. If there was a large segment of anybody who wanted us to deliver a program to them, then absolutely. But yoga does seem to be definitely on the rise at the moment.
Good work. I think that's it for questions. Thanks for your report. Up next, it is the art gallery. Sharon. Sharon, have you met the new council? Yes, you have. We popped over to see you. Yep. Anything to add to your report?
Kia ora koutou. No, nothing further to add.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Cameron.
Shireen, thank you. I'm talking about KPIs to apply consistent feedback. When I look at you've got yellow KPIs 24, 25. Is that typo or is that 24, 25 KPIs there? On graph 4.4.1. And then your grey, you're tracking really well.
Very good call. I don't believe that it could easily be a typo, so we can address that. I don't believe they would have moved significantly year on year in the same comment that we have in regards to our network centre applies here too.
But you seem to have the trajectory is doing better than previous years. What is the main driver of that, do you think?
I think one of the reasons through the chair is this is a combined, this is the first, I think, year where we've given you a total combined number for the art gallery and museum operation.
Okay, yep.
I believe in previous years there was a little bit of a crossover, and generally the programs are a little bit more popular, especially during the school holidays, and our investment in our curriculum-based programs are doing really well.
And one more question. I notice that when I've been to events that you've hosted, you're using the Rockawhiria, have I pronounced it correctly? Thank you. Name. Have you had any feedback on that? Has it been well received by the community, or have you had any?
Through the chair, there hasn't been any direct feedback to myself or the team that I've heard of. But just bear in mind that we're just undertaking the rebranding exercise now, so it hasn't really had wide public use outside of some of the advertising we've recently done and what I share formally at our exhibition opening. So I think once that bit of work is complete, maybe we'll get a little bit more feedback.
Sure.
Thank you.
Doesn't look like any other questions. An easy one for you today. Thank you.
I've just got
Neil
one. Sorry, sorry. On the Clay Fever exhibition, and I know because I was involved, but we keep numbers of how many people come through. Do those numbers get fed back to you at all, or are they just something that our club keeps?
Through the chair, we maintain our facility numbers.
Yep.
The volunteers from the Hakatiri Ceramics and Pottery Group were maintaining the numbers for their exhibition only. So that figure hasn't made its way to us yet, but the exhibition just closed, so I imagine that sharing of information will happen in due course.
So that does happen?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Community and Open Spaces Group. Tony and Janice first up. Has Janice met the new councillors?
Yes, I have. Kia ora, everybody.
Anything to add to your report, Janice?
Nothing further to add, but happy to take any questions.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Welcome, Janice. Local body elections and the work you did, and then a lot of councillors did a lot of work as well, and spent some money and various things, but it didn't really change the outcome of the number of people who voted. What do you think we can do to achieve that, or does it need nationally a whole rethink? Because, look, for me sitting here, it's pretty disappointing that we just fail to, and it's not us, it's the community that fails to engage. We try our hardest to get them to engage. They are just not interested for some reason, and yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Janice will have her view, but there's been a lot written about the limitations of the current system, resting largely around the limitations of postal voting. And Local Government New Zealand, for example, has had a workforce working on this for the last couple of years. They're recommending a return to polling booths and a polling day, amongst a whole host of other things. So I don't think this is a straight communication issue, and you can't engage your way out of a system that just simply doesn't resonate with many people. And Post is a declining service. It's less and less relevant. It's certainly less relevant to young people, and it's just not connecting. And the local government elections are bearing the reputational damage because of that. Everyone will have a view, but there's been a lot written, a lot said, and a lot examined about the limitations of the voting system.
Just follow on, it's probably slightly different to Janice now, sorry, but so are we going to, I don't know, encourage Local Government New Zealand to push for change for this? Because, I mean, it'll be very downheartening if 3 years goes by and nothing's changed, to be fair.
Well, yes, we're a member of Local Government New Zealand. As far as I know, we support their work. They have been prosecuting the recommendations in their review to government for some period of time now. It involves, one of the recommendations is the Electoral Commission runs the election. That's a big change for local government. It is having a polling day, but that has cost implications. Polls need to be set up, they need to be resourced and staffed on the day, and the cost of the election will be greater than the cost of the current polling system, and that has implications for whoever has to do the paying. So yes, Local Government New Zealand continues to make those arguments with widespread support from the sector.
Janice, running a quick poll on the website to gather information for our website's platform RFP next year. What is a platform RFP?
Thank you. Through you. So the RFP is the request for proposals process. So what we're undertaking there is exploring the marketplace and seeing if there are any providers that are more fit for purpose and can provide us a more cost-efficient delivery of service than that we're currently getting.
Okay, and then the e-newsletter provider, is there going to be a cost to that, and why do you sort of feel the need to rely less on Facebook as a news distribution method?
Thank you. Through the chair, since writing this report, we have concluded that exercise and decided to stay with our current provider, so there will be no extra cost. The reason why we looked into delivering news via email is for two reasons. One, when we've conducted informal market research, we've discovered that email is the most successful channel for us, particularly in regards to when we have a consultation on. That's where we garner the most click-throughs, which you would have heard Shelley talking about earlier. The second reason is just with the increase of distraction that we're seeing on social media, we're finding our message is sometimes lost and taken over by comments. So we're looking always at alternative and modern ways to get our messaging across.
Only?
And further to that, Facebook doesn't reach across the spectrum of generations. It tends to be more older generations that are Facebook driven, and so we're trying to make sure that we capture as wide a cross section within our community as possible.
Councillor Moffat.
Hello. Just recently we had the gambling bylaws review, policy review, and the dangerous, affected, unsanitary buildings. Just wondering, as far as the submissions with the gambling went, do you feel, I think there are about 20 submissions around that were received. Would that be considered a good number of responses from a good cross-section of interested parties, both industry and individuals and health groups? What's your overall view of the submissions on that?
Through the chair, I'll take that one because it probably crosses more into the S&P world as well. It's always difficult to judge what good looks like in terms of, because in terms of engagement, particularly on quite specialised policies. You actually do want to hear from the breadth of views, and I think that we did achieve that. We did hear from those that were highly supportive and wanted a more open policy to those that actually wanted to restrict it right down. So we play less of a numbers game and more the quality of the feedback that we receive. I think if it's more contentious, it's more... If an issue is simpler to pick up for the average person in the community, we'll hear from them. Yeah, when they're quite specialised like that, you often do get quite low turnout.
One more quick one from me. We continue to develop a modular signage system to produce more consistent and cost-effective signage production across the organisation. Is that the sort of the pull-up signs you're talking about? What, or can you just talk a wee bit more about the signage system?
Thank you. Through the chair. What I mean by that is we're developing a process for our signage across the district. So one of the key teams that we work with is Open Spaces and looking at the signs that they produce. And what we're trying to do is reduce the time and the labour effort spent in developing signs and have a nice, clean, clear, fast and cost-efficient process for developing all those signs.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? No, we're all good. Thanks, Janice. Thanks for your report. Up next, strategy and policy. Mark. Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Anything to add?
I guess the only thing to add is obviously you'll be aware of the resource management reform that dropped yesterday, and there was also the emergency management bill that also dropped from government yesterday.
Councillor Wilson.
I see we're not looking to submit on the Land Transport Revenue Amendment Bill. Would that not be one that our district's affected by, and different to many other districts, in that we have a lot of kilometres, we drive a lot of kilometres on lower quality roads, which, so a kilometre of my kilometre is charged at the same rate as someone on a beautiful highway in a central city, and also different types of vehicles compared to the norm, and just that, and that would lead us to the funding policy where a lot of South Island funding is going north, and rural road, road user charges aren't returned to us in the right proportion, and isn't that the sort of the place that we could make all those points?
My understanding of that is it's focused around the change to the funding, the transport funding from fuel excise to RUC. So that's across the whole of the vehicle transport network, and it's also around introducing tolling, which generally wouldn't apply for us in Ashburton District just because of the volume of traffic and that sort of the system that might be enabled. I mean, we can look at it based on the points that you've raised if you like, but probably not at this point.
Probably just that those three things you've talked about, if you went to the road safety meeting, the Road Users Association would bring up that, saying that there's a lot of the concerns that the industries have, and we hear constantly from roading that we haven't got any money to spend because we don't get enough of the pie, and we're not, and it's if they go to that road user charges, it's a very simple fuel tax, just gets sucked away somewhere else. So aren't we better to be waving the flag?
Well, it is an opportunity potentially to do that, but it's a little bit of a side issue to the purpose of that amendment bill. That's, I think, the point. That this amendment bill is primarily focused on moving away from petrol tax to a road user charges for all vehicles. And that's in the context, as I've heard the Minister of Transport discuss the declining pool of money for roading as cars become more efficient and EVs and all the rest of it become part of the fleet. So this is part of protecting the money available for roading, which we might submit in favour of. I don't know if we've got a particular view that fuel tax versus RUC is the right or the wrong way to do it. If we want to just talk about this district and Canterbury getting a disproportionately low share of the funding, then that might be an opportunity to make that point, but it's actually not what this bill is really about. And so I think you've got to weigh up in a busy program whether that is the right opportunity to express that view.
Liz?
Thank you. The rates capping has got targeted consultation. Do you know how that is going to work? Have you had any insight?
As far as we're aware at this stage, it's generally focused on LGNZ and Tautuara. I think LGNZ are trying to open it up for other councils, but at this stage, my understanding is DI haven't signalled that individual councils will have that opportunity.
So there's no, so we would feed back to LGNZ?
Via LGNZ, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Any further questions, councillors? Good to go, Mark. Thanks heaps. Memorial halls and reserve boards with Anne next. Afternoon, Anne. Anything further to add to your report? Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Hello, Anne. The Timwold Reserve Board and the new signage is up, and I have to say, I go past it, looks great, so that's good. But the old sign with the big hole and that in it, is there plans to bring that down now we have the lovely new signage up?
There are discussions underway with the organisation involved.
Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. Hello. Hey, with regards to the new booking system that we were talking about, is that up and running and working well? You know, I'm talking about for the memorial halls.
My understanding it will be going live next week.
Oh, next week. So it's
Yes.
a wee bit later than I think we
Yes.
thought.
Yes.
Is that? Yeah. Will that require education for people to learn how, or is it sort of intuitive, or?
It's on the website. I think it'll be quite easy
Pretty
to, well,
basic.
put it this way. I've learnt it, so we'll be fine. Everyone else will be fine. No, it is. It's actually really user friendly.
Oh, good.
And all our regular users that use the Timwold Hall, I'm putting into the system already, so they're
Oh, so they'll be able to go drop down,
Yep,
find
and
their name and highlight. Oh, marvellous.
Yeah, and I have a meeting on Friday with Matthew, who's project manager, and there's a few questions that I will have to ask after our meeting tonight as
Yeah.
well. So,
Yeah, good.
but it's going to be brilliant, I think.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
The Triennial Reserve and Hall Board meetings have been going on. Are there any which, have struggled, really struggling, which you could highlight now, so therefore councillors can go out into their respective communities and try and drum up support for them? Because we've had quite a lot, and they've also got committees, but there's some that sometimes you struggle to reach or struggle to find people in the community to do. Are there any which we should be aware that we need to help as communities?
Thank you, through the chair. So there's a report coming to council next week confirming those that have held meetings. Between the two of us, we wouldn't like to go and rattle off names off that list in case we get it wrong, but that report does talk about those that we haven't heard from yet, that we would really like to hear from to get this organised. Yeah, so that might be the point. You can rattle dags.
Any further questions? I think so. Thanks, Anne. Up next, welcoming communities. Mercedes. Good afternoon. Hello. And do you have anything else to add? Questions, councillors? Yeah, Liz.
The core word boards, so is that a request from people to put them, you're wanting to put them in the library, is that correct?
Thank you. So a member of the community approached me to see if this was doable. She is heavily involved with neurodiverse people, and she wanted to see if we could make them available for them to use the boards here at the library. We are kind of running a trial run and see if they are required and if people actually use them.
Yeah, just a comment, this has also been brought up by Sport Canterbury for the bike skills park in the Domain, and I think Sport Canterbury are going to fund one for use at the Domain that may end up being between the bike skills park and the playground, so that may be a good indication to see how many people are using that. Obviously not till next year though.
Councillor Cameron.
G'day, Mercedes. How does it work? Like, do people touch the cards or?
So people grab, here in the library, we have A4 sheets printed, and people point at whatever they want to say or whatever they need. Yeah. They are very well known and used in schools. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Any further questions, councillors? That appears to be it. Thank you, Mercedes. Open spaces. Afternoon, Ian.
Good afternoon, councillors.
Anything
Mr.
further
Chairman.
to add to your report?
No, just quite happy to take questions.
Thank you. Questions, councillors? Councillor Cameron.
I've got one. And it's been nagging me for a long time. You know the tennis courts in the Domain, the old tennis courts that aren't used by the croquet thing?
Yes.
And there's piles of stuff and they're growing weeds and all sorts there. What does it go with that?
Through the chair, we're using that area as a staging area currently, whilst it's sort of sitting in abeyance for its turn to come up in the Domain Development Plan directives of what that could be. So when we're doing pond edge refurbishments and reinstatements, we're storing some of the materials there, the concrete blocks, the gravels, the metals. For paths, it's metals. For some of the garden upgrades, it's composts. When we did the rose garden upgrade, again, compost, soil mixes, aggregate. So it is just a staging area that we are making use of at the moment until such time as we get its development across the line.
What was it going to be in the development plan? Was it going to be a car park or something?
Yeah, that's correct. It was in the original plan flagged as car park.
It could
Hockey
be a car park now,
was
couldn't
one that flagged. It would need to be formed up with some proper drainage and other aspects to it. So there's quite a bit to do to create what it needs to be.
Okay, I don't want to court controversy, but it doesn't look like much of a staging area to me. It looks like areas of mounds just left there to grow weeds.
Yes, at some stage it does look a bit like that. I agree.
Yeah.
I can confirm that there is a pile of aggregate there that's going to the Hackatree Trails group. We will get that truck down to them, so that'll be one pile that will be disappearing over summer.
Okay. One more question. Then that'll be my last for the whole activity briefing.
Promise.
The new pond that we've cleaned out and is full of leaves now and quite mucky looking. Like, how do you judge when a pond needs, you know, the new pond that's got the edging in the Domain, you know, coming out onto West Street, and we've built the new edging and planted the new lawn and things.
Yes.
That looks pretty grim again now.
Yeah, look, it does, and it's like a lot of ponds. We do put barley straw pegged on waratahs at the inflow, and the barley straw has a cleansing property, and it's purely only barley straw for pond waters. So I know the staff were, and hopefully they've got the straw installed, but we had a gap there without the barley, and it does obviously degrade and rot over the season.
Yeah.
But there is more straw to go there, and that does create that. It's like an algal bloom, really. It just goes slightly greenish and.
Okay, so it's still perfectly healthy and doing its
Absolutely fine and flowing suitably.
Okay, thanks you.
Councillor Wilson.
The first schedule resealing with concrete paths in Bering Square East. That's Bering Square East is here, isn't it? So
that is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So why we spent a bit of money on it a couple of years ago to do it all. So where are we redoing? I don't understand.
Through the chair, it's the actual sealing on the concrete. So it's the sealer that goes over the actual concrete surface. It's for when you have. We don't want to get a lot of food, oils, fats, etc. from events that occur, and people sitting there to get ground into the pavement. So the sealer, and that was the advice at the time from the contractors doing the upgrade, that if you seal it, it's like painting a fence. You do have to redo it, and it's got a 2-year cycle. So that's what that process is about.
Ellis.
Thank you. Have you got any updates on the Methven lighting project? Have the lights come back that had the sort of foggy or the condensation in them?
Yes, through the chair, the lighting experts from Auckland have been down for a site visit and an assessment. There is a remedial plan underway, which EA Networks are to implement. So that plan involves some slight rejigging and realignment of 3 of the lights, some cabling changes, and from what they can see is when they regularly run the lights, the condensation goes away. So it's obviously just a temperature imbalance that occurs naturally, and the condensation apparently is a natural phenomenon within the sealed lights that have come from the Northern Hemisphere, and when they go, they dry out, and when they don't go, it reforms.
Okay.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Having a couple of things on the light up the Christmas tree thing. Some of the gardens got a real hammering while I was standing there. I mean, there were so many people, it was hard to use the path, so people just walked wherever they liked. Did you notice any of the damage out there from that event? And maybe it creates a change of thinking how we have that, since it is now our event area of the town, and maybe something needs a change at some stage.
Yes, good question. And through the chair, any event where you've got a lot of concentrated high traffic flow, you do get a bit of untoward activity. We experienced the same after Glow in the Park, where particularly at night time there, so there was a lot of trampling that of areas that couldn't really be seen. Having a bark on the surface does help. That helps stop the convolution of one material onto another. There's always going to be clean-up, but by and large, it's not too much damage that's going to cause us major grief. So with a bit of activity on the lawns, a bit of decompaction relief there will be regular going forward, and obviously the trampling of the gardens, there'll be regular top-ups there, and some decompaction of those areas as well.
Thank you. Second question, if that's right. I was at a funeral out in the new area of the Domain, and a lady attended who was in an electric wheelchair, struggled to get up off the taxi. The taxi dropped her off the wheelchair taxi in the area in the middle there, but just this lady has very little mobility on her own, can use her thumbs with it, and it was quite an effort for her to get her wheelchair up onto the grass area to attend the funeral. So I just wondered if that's...
No, look, through the chair, good point. Often we rely upon the undertakers who are aware of the family and those with needs that are greater than an able-bodied person. Having said that, obviously that situation could arise at any time. So, look, I'll take that note on board and have a chat to the staff and see if I'm sure there's an easy solution. We do have smaller ramps that we use for some of our machinery that climb curbs. So we'll see what we can do.
Any further questions? Looks like that's it. Thank you, Ian. Thanks for your report.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony. Well, that's activity briefing's done and dusted. Thank you very much, everybody, for your attendance.